dear students, welcome back once again to my class. So we'll continue with the chapter again. The first two parts of the chapter we have already done it. In the first part we discussed the factors like economic exploitation, repressive colonial policy, social religious reform movement. Then in the second part we discussed Albertville controversy, then role of press. So these two we could not do it. So today we will try to complete this part also, okay? And role of press. So we have already done these two part in the previous section, okay? Previous session, and there we understood that press and literature also played a very, very important role in arousing political consciousness among the people of our country. And literature also played a very, very important role in arousing the feeling of patriotism. Now, the next one very, very important, influence of Western education. You know that Raja Ram Mohan Roy and many of the other social reformers, they always wanted to reform the society to free the Indians to come out from the social evils being followed by the society. Lot of social practices were there in our society, right? So in order to free the people of the society from the blind faith and superstitions, education was very much required, my dear. Number one, right? And to study the European culture and European mind and theories of liberty, equality and fraternity, education was very, very important. That is why Raja Ram Mohan Roy wanted English education to be introduced in our country. So with the help of Lord William Mendick, he introduced in our country also. So it is mentioned Wood Dispatch in 1854. Okay, it led to the establishment of universities in Calcutta, Bombay, okay, Madras, on the model of London University. On the model of London University, these universities were set up in India. So this was the beginning of Western education in our country. So now what next? How did the Western education influence the mind of the people? What changes was seen in the Indian society, Indian life of the Indians? So one by one I am going to tell you, my dear. This Western education, my dear, gave the Indians modern, rational, secular, democratic and nationalist political outlook. A great thing. It gave a different outlook to the Indians. Modern look, rational, okay, than democratic and national political outlook. Nationalist political outlook. Okay. Indians learned to study. When Western education was introduced in our country, Indians learned to study and admire and were influenced by contemporary nationalist movement. What all movements were going on in the other part of the world, they were inspired by that. They were very much inspired, contemporary movements. Okay, and then they also were very much influenced by the writings of great political philosophers like Rousseau was there, John Stuart Mill was there. Okay, and even they were very much influenced by the nationalist movement led by Mazzini, Count Keber. Okay, they were the great leaders when Italy was unified. Italy was unified by the great effort of Mazzini, Count Keber, Garibaldi. They unified the country. So this type of nationalistic movement, when they heard it, when they studied it, okay, definitely they were also very much inspired. They were very much inspired. You understand? They studied about French Revolution. They studied about American War of Independence. So from where did they come to know? They studied in the books. Right? They studied in colleges and universities. So this movement inspired their life. Okay? And Western thinkers also influenced their mind. So educated Indians, my dear, began to feel the humiliation. They started to feel humiliated. How can a foreign rule humiliate us in this way? And lot of evils had been imposed upon us. They began to draw modern, developed, strong and united India. They started to feel, no, we need to unite ourselves. We need to free ourselves. We need to unite ourselves. We need to become very, very strong. Right? So definitely you know, my dear, you go to school, what do we learn? That revolutionize our life. The person who don't go to school, their life is different, our life is different. In terms of monetary thing, it is different. But in terms of knowledge, we get knowledge while going to schools and colleges and universities. Our life completely changes. So our outlook changes, our way of thinking changes, our opinion changes. The books which we read have an impact on us. The topics which we study at school have an impact on us. So definitely, my dear, the modern outlook started to begin in the life of our people. So not only that, my dear, English language, because all those English schools started teaching them in English, and the medium of language was English. So English became the medium of communication. English became the medium of exchange. I speak in English, you understand it. When you speak in English, I understand. So English became the medium of exchange. So how this became possible? Because I started to study English. Okay, so English education not only helped us, it also exposed the Indians to the Western. It exposed the Indians to the Western thoughts. Got it? Like liberty, equality, fraternity, I told you. Today when we study French Revolution, when our history teacher teaches you French Revolution, definitely you come to know about the three magical words: equality, fraternity, liberty, equality and fraternity, which is also engraved in our constitution, in our preamble: liberty, equality and fraternity. So this was the idea introduced after the French Revolution. So that time French Revolution already had taken place, and people came to study about it. People studied about French Revolution, and they are very much inspired by liberty, equality. What is liberty? People definitely will understand. What is equality? Fraternity. Liberty means freedom. Equality means each and every people must be treated equally. Fraternity means brotherhood and all. So definitely all these ideas influence the mind of the people of our country, and this became possible due to the introduction of Western education in our country. American War of Independence. In America, the 13 colonies fought against the British rule. They became successful. If they can become successful, my dear, why can't we? If we unitedly, jointly fight against the British government, we can also become successful. So all this became possible due to the introduction of Western education. They studied in the books. It was a part of their syllabus. They studied the mind of the Europeans, the way of thinking. How does a educated person think? That completely changes my thinking and your thinking. A literate person thoughts and an illiterate person thought will never be same, my dear. It is completely different. So in order to match with the literate person, you need to illiterate person must be educated. So definitely, my dear, education plays a very, very important role. Okay, and the most important thing was the language was very, very important. Language, English language became the medium of communication. Now I can express my thoughts and opinions in language. Like when we discuss about the role of press, at that time English papers were also there, English papers. So many of the thoughts were expressed and shared in English papers. So many of the people, even today, they don't understand Hindi. If you go to the interior part of Bengal, many of the people, they don't understand Hindi. So what to do? We have to speak in Bangla. So we need to learn this language also. So overall to communicate with the people of different parts of the country, English must be learned. So if a northern part of the people go to southern part of India, they don't understand the language and they don't understand our language. So how to communicate? So English is the only means. So same way, my dear, that time Europeans, English rule. They did not understand Hindi, and the Indians, they did not understand English. So it was very, very difficult to share and get the help from the Britishers. So English became the means of communication. English became the medium of communication. Okay, it became the medium of communication. So whatever Indians, they had a problem, they can directly speak to them. Okay. So when English education exposed to the Indians regarding the thoughts like liberty, equality and fraternity, my dear, they began to understand the concepts. After going through all this liberty, equality and fraternity, they began to understand the concept like human rights. What is human right? Before they did not know about human rights. Today, before they were tortured, they were beaten up, their lands were confiscated, they were denied job, they were thrown out of their own lands. Okay, they were tortured. So at that time, human rights were not there. They did not know. They thought that, oh, Britishers, they are powerful, and I am the suppressed one. I have nothing to do with it. They are the ruling class. Let them do whatever they like. But now they came to know about human rights. I also have a right. Okay, they came to know about equality before law. They came to know about equality before law. Law had to be treated. Law will treat everyone equally. So no need to worry. They also came to know about democracy. What is democracy? If I ask you what is democracy, very simple, representative form of government. But if this democracy is to be explained by a philosopher, he will write a book on it. So Western education played a very, very important role. Okay, the people of India now started understanding the concept of human rights, equality before law, democracy and society. They realized that this concept meant progress of the country. Okay, so education completely revolutionized the minds of the people of India. So many of the educated youth in the country, they came forward with a nationalistic outlook and inspired the people to join in the national movement. Okay, they became successful in making the youths understand regarding the human rights and the progress of the society, and to free themselves from the social evils so that they can freely think about the progress of the nation. Okay, and Western education helped them to understand the minds of the Europeans. Political ideologies like democracy, fraternity, equality was also understood and was shared to the people. So all this thing became possible due to the introduction of Western education in our country, and Western education influenced the minds of the people at large. Okay, so in this way we can understand clearly that Western education, though was an English education system which spoiled the Oriental system of education on one hand, but on the other hand, it also played a very important role in enlightening the minds of the youths, who later on understood the proper way to place their demands in front of the British and to free themselves from the British rule in a constitutional and in a legal way. Okay, hope you have understood this part. So now, this part, rediscovery of India's past. Rediscovery. Now, Europeans, or we can say that the British government, the British were of the attitude that these Indians are born to be ruled. They are to be dominated. They have never been rulers of the country. They don't know how to rule the country. These Indians are immature, uncivilized, and they are unfit to govern themselves. That was their opinion. We also have a history, we also have a past, but today we know that we have a past. But who were the one who rediscovered our past? Our ancient civilization was brought forward to us. Who brought this? Who did it? Okay, that also we'll discuss. Okay. The Hindus and the Muslims had always fought against each other. That was the history they have presented. Hindus and Muslims, always they fought against each other, and they were destined to be ruled by foreigners. That was their opinion. They thought like that. Okay. They described Indian religion and social customs as degrading. Our social custom and religions are degrading. This had demoralizing effect on the Indians. This demoralized the Indians. If you tell me, okay, you are good for nothing, you have no history, definitely I'll be demoralized. I'll become negative. A negative blood will flow in my body. So definitely, if somebody else comes and feels positivity in my life that no, we have a great history, we were great leaders of the world, we were fighters, we belong to this family, okay, warrior family and all, definitely that will give me a lot of encouragement. So negativity and positivity. So they always had Britishers, they always had a feeling that Indians, they were never rulers. They could not rule their country. They were divided in number of kingdoms. They always used to fight among themselves. Okay, Hindu, Muslim, they fought against themselves. So it was at this time, my dear, when this type of situation was there, it was at this time that nationalist leaders and Orientalist historians rediscovered India's glorious past. Nationalist historians, my dear, okay, nationalist leader and Orientalist historians rediscovered our past. Rediscovery means what had happened in the past. We know about Harappan civilization, we know about Indus Valley civilization, we know all these things. But who did it? Who brought in front of us? What is the present situation? I know it, but what happened yesterday, somebody else has to tell me. So, history was recreated. Okay, the culture, the past, glorious past and the rich cultural heritage, my dear, was brought in front of the people. Okay, and this aroused Indians, or we can say that this aroused a feeling of self-confidence among the Indians when I saw my past. So, credit goes to some of the European scholars, my dear. Credit goes to some of the European scholars. So, European scholars must be credited, my dear. Not all Europeans were, we can say, bad, but many of them, they wanted to know about our past. What actually is the history of India? What actually is the past of India? So, European scholars like William Jones, Max Muller, John Marshall, they showed to the world, my dear. They were the one, these three people were the one to show to the world the spiritual and the greatness of India. The greatness of India was brought in front of the world. One by one. James Princip described, or we can say, James Princip deciphered, means made it readable. He read it, understood it, what was written. James Princip deciphered the Ashokan inscription. What was written on the Ashokan pillar inscription, that was read by him. He understood it, deciphered. Okay. Max Muller translated the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita was there, and that was translated by Max Muller. Sir John Marshall played a key role. You have known, I taught you history in class 9. So, Sir John Marshall played a key role in the discovery of ancient cities of Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, my dear. So all this became possible due to their effort. So our civilization is hidden and it is brought up by the great effort of these people. So after going to Harappan civilization, we feel proud. Our civilization is not so bad, my dear. All these things already had happened in the past. We were an urban civilization. Town planning, these, that, all we know about us. So when we try to find out, little bit of hard work is required to find out the past, but it was brought. So when this glorious past was brought in front of Indian people and was brought in front of the world, my dear, that filled the Indians with courage, as well as filled with positivity and confidence. So, the rediscovery of India's past, my dear, not only aroused the feeling of patriotism and unity, but enabled the Indians to counter-attack the British propaganda. Counter-attack the British propaganda, my dear. So, we should not feel low, my dear, that we always have been ruled. Today, we became successful in freeing our country because of all these efforts. First of all, Western education, the rediscovery of the past, knowing about my past. We were not like this before. But many of the people may think, no, when my father's time, Sultanate period was there, Mughal period was there. Before that, Sultanate period was there. Okay. And when the Mughal period ended, British rule was there. So from more than 400, that means from 1206, let us say, rough calculation, from 1206 to 1947, India was under foreign rule. From 1206, that is from the beginning of Delhi Sultanate. In 1526, Mughal period started. So 1206 to 1947, whose rule was there in our country? Foreign rule. Mughals were not our people. Sultanate were also not our people. They were foreigners. They came, they settled, and they started ruling our country. So did we see our rule? Did we ever see our rulers ruling our country? We did not get a chance. We were dominated by the foreign rule. So So definitely, my dear, the generation, the coming generation, the new generation should know about the past. Then only they can be, they can feel proud of their rich and cultural heritage of our country. If you go to Ajanta and Ellora caves, great paintings are there, great statues are there. All these are the culture reflected in the past. Somebody has done it. So every country, they have the past. So this is all about the rediscovery of India's past. So we must be grateful to those great scholars, William Jones, Max Muller, John Marshall. They were the one who brought our past in front of the world, my dear, and which aroused the feeling of patriotism and unity among the people. So ultimately, this was we became fully independent and courageous and started to live a independent and prosperous life due to their effort also, my dear. So we should not ignore their contribution. So altogether, we have completed all the important topics. But before I end this topic, one more topic I would like to add it over here: racial arrogance of the British. The Britishers, they definitely felt proud of their race and culture, and they described themselves as a master race. They felt that we are the master race and we are born to rule. They treated the natives or the Indians, my dear, as Indians with contempt. They say these are inferior people. Oh, these people are born to be ruled. They have nothing to do. So even the wealthy and highly respectable Indians had to wait, okay, for at least 1 hour on the lobby or veranda among the servants to meet them. So this type of racial discrimination, arrogance was there among the Europeans. So what were the how this was done? Indians were prohibited entry into clubs and railway compartments, which were exclusively reserved for the Europeans, number one. At the district headquarters, there were exclusive residential areas known as civil lines for the Europeans, where the Indians were not allowed. Indians faced discrimination and barriers to promotion in jobs. Racial arrogance, provinces and social economic status as an inferior class. Racial arrogance took racial arrogance took a serious form in the matter of justice also. Everywhere racial arrogance, racial discrimination was seen among the people. So this was, I wanted to make to understand that racial discrimination which they followed ultimately became a boon of contention for the Indians to fight against the British rule, my dear. So what you do, you have to pay for that. So ultimately, whatever they did that aroused political consciousness among the people. They introduced railways, helped the Indians. They introduced Western education for their benefit, so that they can get a chief clerk. We can pay them with the low salaries and we can get a low salaried clerk. But ultimately that also helped us. They introduced ICS examination just to make them happy. That also helped us. They introduced railways for connecting the interior part of the country and to get raw materials. That also helped us. Did you understand? So whatever they did indirectly helped the Indians, which helped them to arouse political consciousness among the people. They became more and more conscious regarding the political condition of the country, the economic plight of the country, the economic exploitation going on in the country was exposed among the people. And the most important thing, Western education played a very, very important role. Definitely, I must mention, my dear, Western education played a very, very important role. So, this is what about the growth of nationalism, the feeling of pride of the country, feeling of patriotism, feeling of unity among the people, love for your country developed due to these many factors which we discussed in last 3-4 classes. So, I hope you understood it. So, in the next class, we'll start with, I'll start the foundation of Indian National Congress and the role of moderates. Okay, the first phase of national movement will start from 1885 onward. The national movement, the phases are divided in 3 parts. First phase, second phase, third phase. First phase belong to the moderates, second phase belong to the extremists or the radicals or the assertives, and the third phase belong to the Gandhian era, Gandhian phase from 1819 onward. So this is how we'll continue our chapter. So I hope you all have understood it. So please, those who have not watched the previous video, once again I am requesting you to watch it. The link to the videos are shared in the description box. So please watch it. Okay. And if you have any queries, you can comment. You can write a comment in the comment box so that I can reach to you in a very easy way. So take care, my dear children, my dear students. Take care. Stay safe. We'll meet again in the next class. Thank you very much for listening me. Bye bye.